All hail the Dome Lord. What's going on, YouTube? The day has finally come where we are doing a solo run with Kabutops. Looking at its stats, I actually think it's the fastest rock type in Gen 1 with 80 base speed, and the 115 and 105 attack and defense are great. However, that 70 special, especially when our primary attacks are mostly going to be special in the beginning, kinda sucks. By level up it doesn't get much, and by TMs it gets quite a bit. We have access to the typical water Pokemon TMs in Bubble Beam, Water Gun, Ice Beam, Blizzard, and Surf, but we also get access to Swords Dance and Body Slam, which is nice, considering this thing does have scythes for arms. While our starting moveset isn't bad, we do at least start with a grass move so we can take on Brock rather quickly. Unfortunately, that grass move is Absorb with 20 base power, and while both Geodude and Onix are 2 shots respectively, I'd rather have Water Gun like Amistar does to start, that way we get at least stab damage out of it. After beating Brock though, I want to battle all of these optional trainers on Route 3, because there's a TM we can get that I think will be useful for Misty. Even though we do have Absorb, which is super effective against her water types, we have 70 base special, and Absorb is a 20 base move. Speaking of TMs we can pick up, in Mount Moon, as soon as we enter and go left, we can get the TM for Water Gun, which I am going to put on Kabutops' Learn Set. Yes, Bubble Beam will replace it, but we're not going to get Bubble Beam immediately. Of course, the Dome Lord is going to take the Dome Fossil to revive his own kind, and we can exit Mount Moon and get our post-Mount Moon timestamp after this annoying Zubat encounter. And the Dome Lord is making pretty good time, 35 minutes in-game time. We have to decide now between Rival 2 and Misty, and I thought Misty would be a good idea, and boy, was I wrong. Even though Water Gun is neutrally effective on Kabutops, you can see how much its Water Gun does to me and how much Absorb does to it. I switched to Scratch even after an X-Defend because it's doing more damage, and I can't even make it past the Staryu. I reset and thought to myself maybe Rival 2 is the choice here, but even Rival 2 isn't really a easy battle, and just check out this next battle to see what I mean. He leads with Pidgeotto. Water Gun does about a third thanks to a crit, and it hits me with Sand Attack. Thankfully Pidgeotto's attacks don't do much because, well, we're a rock type. We can take it down with a couple scratches, and against Abra, I have an idea. I'm gonna go for Absorb to get all of my HP back, because I want to be at full HP ideally for Bulbasaur since I am 4 times weak to Vine Whip. Rattata thankfully doesn't use its strongest move in Hyper Fang, but you'll see that the Sand Attack from Pidgeotto earlier is starting to get to me. I start missing quite a bit of attacks, and I do go for Absorb on Rattata to try to recover as much HP as possible because, again, want to be as close to full as possible. Out comes Bulbasaur. Scratch is doing about a quarter. It hits me with Growl, so Scratch is going to do less. And there's Vine Whip. Does a ton of damage. We miss as it hits me with Leech Seed, and I think that miss caused us to lose the battle. I decided to battle the one swimmer in Misty's gym with the Horsey and Shelder in order to start this battle at level 19. Pidgeotto cooperates in this battle by not going for Sand Attack, and we're able to KO it over 4 turns with Scratch. Against the Abra, I go for 6 Hardens just to fully boost my attack with the Badge Boost, go for Absorb to recover any lost health, and then knock it out. With the Badge Boost, Rattata is a one-hit with Scratch, and all that's left is Bulbasaur. Scratch does over 3/4 of its health, while Vine Whip, had it crit, would have knocked me out, but we're able to get by this one with relative ease. Now for the Nugget Bridge portion, I'm going to take on every hiker that I see. I want to get as many levels as I can before Misty, because there's a specific TM that I want to get. It's guarded by this youngster, and that TM is TM19 Seismic Toss, which is going to help us defeat Misty. The set damage will allow us to either 2 or 3 hit KO her water types. I teach it immediately over Absorb because Absorb just sucks, and you'll see in the rematch here that Seismic Toss makes all the difference. We can KO Staryu over 2 hits, its Water Gun doesn't do much even though it does crit, and Starmie, it throws us a bone in this one. It hits me with Bubble Beam, Seismic Toss is going to be a 3-hit KO, but Misty goes for X Defend and then Water Gun. Had it just kept up on the offense with Bubble Beam, we would have lost that one. But our prize for this one is that we get the TM for Bubble Beam and can upgrade Water Gun immediately. Our moveset is going to get a further upgrade when we get to the SSN. You know what's coming. We battle the one youngster in here, we get TM08 Body Slam, and it's going to be an immediate upgrade over the 35 base power Scratch. It's not going to give us one-shots on all of his Pokemon, but it will make it to where we don't have to waste turns setting up badge boosts with Harden. Pidgeotto is a 2-shot, thankfully it just goes for Gust. We can knock out the Raticate with one Body Slam, as well as the Kadabra. But the real problem is Ivysaur. Bulbasaur's Vine Whip hit hard. Ivysaur, had it crit with it, it would have knocked us out. Now I will admit, I did do Kabutops run before Amistar because, well, my thought process was, I really want to play with Kabutops. And I'm about to take a huge risk here. I'm gonna fight Lieutenant Surge early. The upside is that you can use Fly outside of battle, so you can get it right away when you get to Celadon and travel around easier. And when we replace Harden later for a different badge boosting move, we'll be able to boost our defense sooner rather than later. So when it comes to Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon, I'm not worried about the Voltorb or the Pikachu. They go down in one Body Slam. It's the Raichu I'm worried about. It goes for Thunder Shock as opposed to Thunderbolt, and a crit does so much damage. We don't knock it out with Body Slam, but Surge goes for an X speed. And had it just used Thunderbolt, I wonder how much it would have did without a crit. And it's a shame that Kabutops can't learn Dig in Gen 1. It doesn't get it until Gen 3, and really, it's a shame that this thing can't learn any Rock-type moves, and it can't learn Rock Slide. I guess they did it a little better in Gen 2 by giving it Ancient Power, but I digress. Let's just go ahead and pick this up outside of Rock Tunnel, where we can get our post-Rock Tunnel in-game timestamp. 1 hour, 28 minutes in-game time. We're going to head straight for Celadon City and head right to the Rocket Game Corner to battle Giovanni. There's going to be a few useful items in there, like the high money items, the PP up that we're going to pick up along the way. And as for Giovanni himself, the battle is not a problem. The first two Pokemon go down to Bubble Beam, they're 4 times weak to it, and Kangaskhan is a 3-shot with Body Slam. After I defeat Giovanni, I'm going to do some last minute errands around Celadon, grab the PP up I missed, get Fly, and then do some Celadon shopping. I'm going to be buying some proteins because I want to max out our best stat, our attack stat. Let's go ahead and advance the plotline by taking on Rival 4. His lead is Pidgeotto. I open up with a Body Slam that does well over half, he goes for a retroactive potion and we knock it out on the next turn. Gyarados is next and is a problem child. Body Slam does over half, and Hydro Pump does over half to me. We knock it out the next turn, but thankfully the rest of his Pokemon are no threat. Growlithe goes down to 1 Bubble Beam, Kadabra to a Body Slam, and Ivysaur to a Body Slam. Normally Pokemon Tower is not much to talk about, but thanks to our 70 base special, and all of the Ghastlies having 100 base special, some of the battles can get a little difficult. And I'm just going to show you this first one here. We actually almost lose this one. Although it's mostly due to me not healing after the battle against Rival 4, Bubble Beam is a 2-shot on every single Ghastly in here, which means they have a chance to attack you, like this one did. It paralyzed me with Lick, the second one confuses me. Thankfully, I don't hit myself and I don't lose this battle, but you can see how this could be difficult when going up the tower. Normally after Pokemon Tower, with a Pokemon like Kabutops, I'd go to Cycling Road in Fuchsia City next, but I'm gonna make a pit stop to Silphco, and you're gonna find out why. I'm gonna battle the one Rocket Grunt right here, so that we can get access to the card key, and then I'm gonna make a pit stop to the 7th floor. On the 7th floor, we can pick up TM03 Swords Dance, which is going to prove to be pivotal in this run. We're going to end this quick pit stop with a trip to the 10th floor, battle the one Rocket, and pick up the Carbos and the rare candy. We're going to head to Fuchsia City to battle Koga next. I really should have healed my PP before the battle because I only have 6 Body Slams from the trainers in his gym. I want to set up 3 Swords Dance and sweep, but Coughing hits me with a Smoke Screen, followed by Tackle and Sludge. I'm not poisoned, and we can then one-shot his remaining Pokemon. Coughing, Muck, and Coughing number 2 all go down to 1 Body Slam, which just leaves Wheezing. We unfortunately don't one-shot it thanks to a crit, and our remaining 2 Body Slams miss thanks to the smoke screen the first Coughing set up earlier. Bubble Beam doesn't get the job done, and it poisons me with Toxic. We miss another Bubble Beam as it misses Smog, but thankfully we hit Seismic Toss to knock it out. That battle could have went a lot smoother, but a win's a win. I'll take it. We're going to head through the Safari Zone next to pick up the final HMs of the run. And I know in previous runs I've mentioned this, but I'm going to talk about it in this one as well. And that's teaching an HM move like Surf. While it does have 95 base power and would give us stab damage to a Pokemon like Kabutops. And for Kabutops, it just wouldn't benefit it down the line. Yes, it does have 95 base power and stab damage, but our base special is 70, and our attack stat is much higher, and we have a badge boosting move in Swords Dance that's going to further boost our attack. Which, by the way, Kabutops can learn Ice Beam. I didn't bother picking that up from the Celadon department store, although I wish I could have picked up Rock Slide. Anyway, after picking up Surf, we're going to head back to Pallet Town immediately, and we're going to head to Cinnabar Island next. We have the type advantage over Blaine, but more importantly, I want his badge so that every time we use Swords Dance, we'll get a boost to our special. And speaking of special moves, we're actually going to be picking one up in Cinnabar Mansion. I know I was just talking about how I didn't want to teach Kabutops Surf because we have low special and talking about getting a boost to our special, but in Cinnabar Mansion, we can pick up TM14 Blizzard, which is going to come in handy later on when we take on the Elite Four. For now, we're going to take on Blaine, and this battle goes pretty much the same as Koga's battle. I start by setting up 3 Swords Dance against the first Pokemon, as it just goes for agility. From there, we can knock out the Growlithe, we can knock out the Ponyta, we can knock out the Rapidash, but level up going into Arcanine, which Arcanine outspeeds us, and Fire Blast doesn't do much, but it burns us. Even with the attack drop, Body Slam is still doing half. It goes for Takedown the next turn, which again doesn't do much, and Body Slam is able to finish it. We're not going to waste any more time. We're going to be digging straight out of Blaine's gym and heading to Silphco to battle rival Fievel. Against Pidgeot, I want to set up 3 Swords Dance and then sweep. Unfortunately, it hits me with a Sand Attack turn 1. But I have decent luck once I'm fully set up, and I one-shot every single Pokemon, only missing once, until we get to the Venusaur. Against Venusaur, I miss my first 2 Body Slams as it hits me with Leech Seed and Vine Whip. Had it gone for Razor Leaf, it would have one-shot me, but thankfully, my 3rd Body Slam connects, we're able to knock it out, and we can move on to Giovanni. Before proceeding though, I'm actually going to backtrack. There's a Hyper Potion in this room that I'm going to use to get back to full HP. And there's really nothing to say about this Giovanni battle. Against Nidorino, I set up 2 Swords Dance as it goes for Poison Sting and he uses a Guard Spec. And from there, it's a one-shot sweep on his entire team, although I do use Bubble Beam for Rhyhorn. Let's go ahead and move on to Sabrina, who I don't think should be too difficult. As long as we outspeed her Pokemon, we'll be in good shape. Well, we do outspeed Kadabra. I set up a Swords Dance, and it hits me with Psychic, bringing me under half HP. From there, we can just one-shot sweep through her entire team. Until we level up after Venomoth. We're not going to learn Leer, but now Alakazam will outspeed me since the boost from Swords Dance is gone, and Psybeam crits to knock me out. You would think that I level up on one of the trainers in her gym and then try again. But nope, I try again immediately. This time I go straight offensive. I knock out the Kadabra with Body Slam and decide to set up on Mr. Mime, who goes for Light Screen. We can then one-shot it with Body Slam, along with the Venomoth. We're going to level up again, so there was really no point in setting up Swords Dance, but Alakazam gets a 1 in 256 miss with Psybeam, so we're able to knock it out with Body Slam. Looking back at the footage, I don't know why I set up a Swords Dance in this battle. But let's just go ahead, get the last gym leader before Giovanni out of the way, which is Erica. That's right, we still have to take on Erica. And because we overlevel her so much, all of her Pokemon are a one-shot sweep with Body Slam. With the exception of Vileplume, who tanks it just barely and hits us with Petal Dance, which we tank pretty well ourselves. And for winning this battle, we get TM21 Mega Drain, which it doesn't make sense that Kabutops can learn Absorb, but can't learn Mega Drain. I mean, Game Freak also didn't give this thing Rock Slide in Gen 1, so I guess what am I complaining for? Let's go ahead and take on the final gym leader, Giovanni. I set up 2 Swords Dance on the Rhyhorn because I wanted to guarantee one-shots on the Nidos with Body Slam, but I should have only set up 1. And funny enough, while his entire team is a one-shot sweep, Nidoqueen is not thanks to getting a crit with Body Slam. But after we knock out Nidoking and Rhydon here, that's all 8 gym badges down, and we can just move on to Rival 6. Since we're close to leveling up, I'm not going to set up on the Pidgeot. Body Slam looks like it's about a 4-hit KO on it. It's just setting up agility, but thankfully my next Body Slam gets a critical hit to knock it out. We level up going into the Rhyhorn, who is the perfect Pokemon to set up on. I set up 2 Swords Dance. It wastes time going for Fury Attack, and I accidentally use Body Slam on it, which does paralyze it. But we can knock it out with Bubble Beam, and from there, the Rivals team is a complete one-shot sweep. So this is the part in the video where I talk about the league, and I think they're all going to be some type of annoyance one way or another. With the exception of Bruno, of course. I think Lorelei, as long as Dewgong isn't using Growl every other turn, it'll be a pretty easy one-shot sweep for her. Agatha, on the other hand, is going to be annoying because our best move is Seismic Toss as of right now. And I should clarify that it's the best move to use against her Pokemon, at least her Ghost. Yes, I could teach Blizzard or Surf, but Agatha's Gengars have a base special stat of 130 and Haunter's is 115, while ours is 70. I don't think that would be the right play. And as far as Lance goes, Gyarados will be an annoyance, but I have a plan. And the champion? Just make sure we don't get hit with Razor Leaf by Venusaur. No Lorelei timestamp this week. I'm gonna keep you guys in suspense. It's the home stretch for the Dome Lord. Let's finish this run. So Lorelei leads with Dewgong. Against it, I want to set up 3 Swords Dance. We get Rest Turn 1, Rest Turn 2, and Rest Turn 3. And from here, we can begin the sweep. We knock out Dewgong, we level up, and we have the opportunity to learn Hydro Pump, which for now I will teach to Kabutops over Bubble Beam. I do like the extra power. Cloyster hangs on from a Body Slam, but Lorelei Super Potions it and we knock it out. And from here, the rest of her team is a one-shot sweep. Next up is Bruno, and I actually am gonna not speed up his battle completely because I do want to talk about him a little bit, because watching this footage back, I probably could have played this fight a lot better. Just like with Lorelei, I'm going to set up 3 Swords Dance on his first Pokemon, and it's mainly because I don't want the Hitmonchan hitting me with counter and knocking me out, and I want a guaranteed one-shot on Machamp, because Submission could do some big damage. However, that's not the case because once I'm fully set up, it's a one-shot sweep with Body Slam and Hydro Pump. But now we have to deal with Agatha, and although we have Hydro Pump, it's not really going to do much against her Ghost. I pop rare candies until we hit level 60, so that Seismic Toss gets some better damage. And well, there's nothing left to do but to get into the battle. So let's see how difficult this is. Seismic Toss is a 3-hit KO on Gengar. It goes for Dream Eater turn 1, a Super Potion turn 2, and Confuse Ray turn 3. I unfortunately hit myself and Agatha is stalling with the Super Potions at this point, but thankfully we get through the confusion, we knock out the first Gengar. I'm trying to set up on Golbat for some speed boost, but it keeps going for Haze, which does eliminate my confusion, which is nice. Body Slam paralyzes it, so I try to take my chance. I get 1 Swords Dance in and then knock out Golbat with Body Slam. Haunter's up next, and I miss Seismic Toss, which is unfortunate. It thankfully misses Hypnosis, but then it confuses me the next turn. Because of Swords Dance, I do big damage to myself when I hit myself in confusion. Thankfully, I do hit 2 more Seismic Toss to knock out Haunter. Arbok I can go for Body Slam and one-shot it, the crit didn't matter, but now is the final Gengar. It outspeeds, confuses me, I hit myself, and there's Nightshade to finish me off. I make it back to Agatha on my next attempt, and I have a different strategy in mind now. I've replaced Hydro Pump with Mimic, and I'm going to Mimic Hypnosis. Gengar confuses me, but I get through and manage to put it to sleep. I can now go for Seismic Toss without worrying about it hitting me with Nightshade, confusing me again, or anything like that. We knock it out as it wakes up, and out comes Golbat. We miss Hypnosis as it confuses us. I put it to sleep the next turn though, but then I hit myself as I go for Body Slam. We do hit our next Body Slam, which does about half, and I decide to try to set up some. Unfortunately, I hit myself again. We snap out of confusion the next turn and set up a Swords Dance, but she swaps to Haunter. I put it to sleep immediately and go for Seismic Toss. It's a 3-hit KO, and I do decide to get a Swords Dance set up in there to try to outspeed the final Gengar. Golbat comes back out after we knock out the Haunter. We can go for Body Slam and knock it out. Arbok follows, and like before, it's a 1-hit KO with Body Slam. We have enough HP to tank 2 Nightshades. We outspeed the final Gengar, and I put it to sleep right away with Hypnosis. Seismic Toss is a 3-hit KO, and although Agatha does use a Super Potion making it a 4-hit KO, Gengar doesn't wake up until the final turn when it's too late. So second try Agatha victory, I'll take that. But next we have to deal with Lance. And Mimic at this point has run its course. I'm gonna heal up, and I'm actually going to teach Blizzard in the place of Mimic. Aside from using PP ups on Blizzard, I'm also going to use 3 rare candies to bring us up to level 63 to get us to the next damage rounding threshold. I hope we get some good luck against Gyarados, because I really don't want to have to redo that Agatha battle. Out comes the annoyance. Body Slam is doing a third and it misses Hydro Pump. Blizzard brings it to yellow health as Hydro Pump does over half to us. Thankfully, we can knock it out the next turn. Out comes the first Dragonair, and I want to set up some Swords Dance to hopefully outspeed Aerodactyl later in the battle. I managed to set up 2 Swords Dance and get hit with 2 Dragon Rage. I have 12 HP remaining for the final 4 Pokemon. Thankfully, Body Slam can take out both of the Dragonairs, and now the moment of truth. We do outspeed Aerodactyl, Blizzard connects and one-shots, which means we're going to outspeed Dragonite, and it's 4 times weak to Blizzard, so it too goes down in one shot. So maybe that Lance battle was a little anticlimactic, but all that's left is the champion. I'm going to go ahead and pop my last rare candy, and it would have been nice to level up in that Lance battle because using the rare candy would have brought us to another damage rounding threshold. But the main goal is to outspeed Venusaur at the end and one-shot it, because Razor Leaf will one-shot us. The Dome Lord has made it this far. It's time to take out his arch nemesis, Lord Helix. Pidgeot is first. I want to set up a Swords Dance, and it mirror moves Swords Dance. At this point, I think I don't want this thing attacking me. I go for Blizzard. It's going to one-shot it. Up next is Alakazam. We do outspeed it. Don't know if the Swords Dance mattered or not. Body Slam one-shots it. Up next is Rhydon. I'm going to set up my final 2 Swords Dance just to maximize our attack and badge boost. It goes for Tail Whip and Horn Drill. I misclick Body Slam but do paralyze it, and we can just knock it out the next turn with Blizzard. 3 down, 3 to go. Up next is Gyarados. We do outspeed it. We don't one-shot it thanks to a crit. Hydro Pump thankfully misses. We knock it out the next turn. Like with Gyarados, we crit on Arcanine so we can't one-shot it. Ember does 4 HP of damage. We knock it out the next turn. Please don't crit on Venusaur. Please don't crit. Body Slam connects, it doesn't crit, and that's the win. And this was a really fun run. And don't worry, Lord Helix is going to get his run next. But I really want to see how Aerodactyl does now. I know it's not going to be as good as the other 2, but it would still be interesting to see. It would also be interesting to see a Mega Aerodactyl run at some point. That could come to the channel in the near future. But for now, Lord Dome finishes at level 65, final in-game time of 3 hours 26 minutes. And to just show off a little preview of the tier list that I've remade, with Pokemon that have come to the channel so far, I had to edit this first to make sure there were no spoilers. The Dome Lord finds itself at the bottom of the A tier. And there are some Pokemon on this list I wouldn't mind redoing just because the runs are pretty old to this point, like Victreebel, Mr. Mime. Heck, I wouldn't mind redoing Kingler and Magneton even though those runs were pretty good. Anyways, thank you for the continued support on the channel. You know we have to follow up the Dome Lord's run with Lord Helix. I'm gonna get started on that one right away. And I've got some other games coming to the channel later in the year. I'm going to be running one of my favorite Pokemon in its original game, in its original region. And if that video does well, then who knows, I might do a couple more Pokemon from that region and game. And if it doesn't, well, maybe I'll do videos with the starters and then call it. Anyway, I'm gonna get started on Omastar's video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Take care, everybody.